What's going on, guys? Just wanted to make this little video here to show you how I'm going to swap this 190/12 street tire onto my BombMoto back wheel. I see a lot of guys out there doing a lot of extra stuff, like putting zip ties all around the tire to slide it on, like throwing this in the oven, just a whole lot of different methods out there. And personally, I think it's really all about the technique. As you'll see here, I'm not going to be using any soap, nothing like that. Just straight technique. Should only take me a couple minutes to swap this tire out. And I figured I'd bring you guys along and show you how I do this. With the mini bikes I have in the garage, you know, I'm always swapping tires in and out. And it's a very easy process, but if you don't know what you're doing, it could be the hardest thing you've ever done. So let's go ahead and get started. First, I wanted to say that this little kit right here from Amazon was only like 30 bucks or something. Get 2 small spoons, 1 long spoon, and then it kind of came with a valve core tool. You can pull it out, pull out the valve cores, and it also came with some valve stems for tubeless tires, which I won't be needing. But so yeah, let's get into it. Now, if you don't have the valve core remover, usually the caps, the valve caps that you have, will have this little groove in here. It's basically the valve stem tool. So what you do is you flip it around, put it on there until it catches, and then you want to just remove it. Over. I don't know my left leg loose from right to tight. It's in there pretty tight, so you gotta give it some good force. Once you do, it'll start to release. You don't want to back it out too fast because that thing will come flying. You want to let some air out as it's backing out. Okay, now that our valve core is out, we're completely out of air into the tire. So what I do next is I go ahead and de-bead it all the way around. So basically what you want to do is on the inside of the rim itself, there's a ledge for the bead of the tire to sit on. Now if you look down over here towards the middle of the rim, there's a rim strip. Now what I'm going to be doing is squeezing the tire so that both beads are going to meet down in the middle of the rim strip. And then at that point, you can actually lift the rim up just the tiniest bit, and you actually give yourself quite a bit of a gap right here. So I'll go ahead and put one of my rim savers on. Go ahead and set this up as comfy as you can. That we got that on, go ahead and grab our large spoon. Let's stick it down in there, and then you just want to catch just enough. That way you're not grabbing a tube. I'll grab our other one. I'll go ahead and slide this up just like so. Put our other rim saver over here a little ways. I'll do it towards you guys so you can see. These things are new, and I only use these because I want to save the wheel on this. Otherwise, I'd usually just be going with a pair of flatheads and saying screw the rim. There we go. Got that done. We'll come over. Now normally, once you see your vent spot where it's popping out, you only want to go a few inches out from it. The farther you try to go, the harder it's going to be because it's trying to stretch. So I'm going to put my foot over that, pop that up just like so. Grab our second spoon, go in another couple inches, just like so. And then usually from there, you can start pulling up and and bringing that first side of the tire out, just like so. And then from here, what I like to do is just to be on the side of caution, I will go ahead and remove the tube. Just get these rim savers out the way real quick. Pull the tube up from the stem. This is probably the hardest part right here. Getting my fat fingers in there. Now once we got our tube, go ahead and pull it out. Just be careful you don't catch it on the sprocket or nothing. Strip out of the way, and tube is out. Now what we can do is, again, we got the bead of the tire and the inside of the rim, so we'll sit the bead right on there, right on top of the rim strip, and from here you can pretty much just pull it out. Just like so. Now that we have our tire removed, we'll go ahead and swap this out. I don't know if I mentioned, but you can see I had the tire underneath it. That way, when we're working, the sprocket or the rotor, whatever side you're working on, is nice and safe. Alright, now we want to look at tire rotation. This one is going to be like an arrow, so we want arrows pointing towards the front of the bike. Obviously our sprocket on the B1 is on the left side, so we want to make sure arrows going forward, sprocket on the right side. And we'll go ahead and kind of push it in there. And then what we can do is go from the back side. Put a little tire spoon on there. Go ahead and pull it in. Our big one. Now it's probably hard to see right now. Go ahead and grab our big one. And then our second one, or third one I should say. There. And there we have it. Now that we are our first side on, did kind of scratch my rim there a little bit. That's why it's good to use those rim savers. But now that we have our wheel on, we're going to go ahead and take our, well, halfway on, we're going to go ahead and take our tube. And what I like to do is go through the tire, figure out where my valve stem hole is, and it's right here on the top. So what I'll do, go ahead and put the tube in valve side first, and go ahead and tuck it in. That's just going to make it easier for you later. Once you're putting it all, once you're putting the stem through the hole and all that good stuff, it's not like way over here and you got to shimmy the tire. Go ahead and tuck that, and then you want to tuck it into the actual rim itself, because you can see it's hanging out of the outside of the rim. Push it up in there. And now to get our valve through the hole. Now that we got our valve through the hole, go ahead and tuck the rest of this just in here. That way it'll keep the tube nice and out of the way when we're getting the second side on. Alright. So what I'll do now is just grab a side, push this down, get my tire spoon under here. For the next one, get a little bit of distance. Pull it up just like so. using my feet to hold it down. And just slowly bring it over. Remember, don't walk it too far. Just get yourself enough room. I'd say maybe 4 or 5 inches over. Slowly walk it over. Make sure not to catch the tube. Oh, these are slippery. See, we're close to the end. Get back in there. And then this part, you really want to make sure you're just doing it at little steps. It's going to be so much easier in the long run. If I tried to go in the middle right now, it'd be very hard. And as you can see, we're right at the end there. From here, you can pretty much just step on it. Pop right in. And we now have our 190-12 on our B1 back wheel. I do have a little surprise here that I'll be showing off later. I made a wheel spacer for the sprocket to actually bring it out a little bit, in hopes that it will at least fit this 100 wide or maybe even bigger. And I did mention on the unboxing review that I did that this was the same wheel as the mototec. Unfortunately, it has a different bolt pattern and it is actually a slightly skinnier hub. So we're going to have the same issues that we did on the mototec, where we can't fit a nice wide wheel in the back. So hopefully this will do it, because we only have so much that we can go out before the chain starts going off track, all that good stuff. But there will be more on that in a little bit. For right now, I'm going to go ahead and pump this up and show you guys that the tube is not popped. Alright guys, here's the boring part. It's filled up. I like to stop about halfway just to make sure everything's beating correctly. See how you can see this hasn't quite made it yet, so what I'm going to do is keep pumping it up until it pops this into the bead as well. Sometimes you might have to go a little bit past that 30-35. Oh, there it went right there. As you can see, it's all beaded nicely. Both sides are looking good. Seems to be holding PSI. And we'll hold it right at 30. Make sure it stays there. Make sure I don't hear any hissing. Looks like we're staying real good. Cool deal. So it looks like this was successful. Pretty easy. Obviously you guys saw it the whole time, no cuts or edits, obviously, other than me going to grab this and pumping it up. But the main thing you want to worry about is when you pull these in to pop them over, try not to dig them in too far. So when you shove the whole thing in there, you're guaranteed to grab tube. So just shove in a little bit, as much as you need to catch that lip and pull it back. And another thing is, as soon as you pull it back and it sets in, don't go any farther, because you're going to end up twisting this around and it's going to dig into that tube. So you want to be very gentle, go a little bit at a time, couple inches, couple inches, couple inches, and there you go. Nice easy way to set it. Still sitting at 30 pounds. Go ahead and pop that off. And you can see we now have a 100 wide on the B1. Cool deal, guys. Like I was saying about that spacer, hopefully it works out. Maybe even get a bigger tire on here, but stay tuned for that. That's going to be in the future. Later, guys.